Hi, everybody. Hope you're well. Apologies for being late. Like I told you, I work as a carer part time, and I had a patient, and she needed to be looked after before I could come and join you. But anyway, that's besides the point. Thank you very much for joining me. I don't know who's here. If you're here, I can see you. I can see an eye watching me. Today is a very interesting day. Hey. First of all, let me introduce myself and let me introduce the topic that we're going to discuss today. We're talking about where are we with the deputy president's impeachment case? What is happening there, and what's likely to happen and what else is going on? That's a lot of questions, but I thought, a lot of people in Kenya are really worried, concerned, focused on the deputy president's impeachment. But in the meantime, there are other things that are going on in the background or simultaneously in parallel, which are impacting or which will impact on Kenyans in a very, very big way. One of those is the housing levy fund, guys. Wow, First of all, I want to welcome you to now I think it's going to be Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I think that's how it's going to be, I want to do live shows with you people to discuss matters that are going on in our world because I feel a responsibility to at least, chair a platform or to welcome people to opportunities to like collaborate and contribute together. Because if you're not in the mainstream media, then you're in social media. And if you're in social media, you only have platforms such as X, Facebook, YouTube, maybe others, but you don't really have an opportunity to interact, especially if you're professionals or even if you're not, etc. But I'll try my best to also include Kiswahili, to try to also speak in Kiswahili a little bit and welcome you. And also want you guys to join me in the studio. I've sent a link over there in the comment section. There is a link there that says streamyard.com. But if you come in, what you do, you click on that and then you get off YouTube. Otherwise, you'll have two going in parallel. I'm in tandem and then they'll interfere with one another. So my name is African Queen Mo Cardiff. I am based in Cardiff and also in Kenya. I'm a Kenyan citizen and a UK citizen too. And I always remind people that I'm a dual citizen because I really am, yeah? And the reason I say that is because I have an interest in politics on both sides of the world. Globally, I see myself as a global citizen, and it doesn't mean that you have to be a citizen to see yourself that way, yeah? But today I wanted to discuss the issue of the DP's impeachment. We are being bombarded as Kenyans, guys. It's too much. I'm sure a lot of people are very exhausted. It's exhausting. Do you guys feel exhausted? God, it's exhausting. Really, it is. But anyway, I thought, let me just give a little bit of background to what's been going on. Yeah. A lot of the information that I have is actually from news sources, including local dialect stations such as Inoro FM, because many people may not have access to the information from those stations because they don't speak the language. But I thought to myself, they have a lot of very good information in there that should be shared with people who don't speak necessarily the local languages or even Swahili. And I thought, there was a lot of good explanations that really helped to explain and to enhance our understanding about the judiciary for those of us who don't understand legalese. Yeah, legalese. I say legalese because it's the language that I call of lawyers. These lawyers, they all think that we speak the same language. So let's get in there. Yeah, let's get right into it. Okay, so this is what really happened. Okay. Basically, let's first of all get some definitions going. And if anybody's a lawyer here and wants to, or even not a lawyer, if anybody in here wants to correct me, please go ahead. Yeah. So karibuni sana Wakenya wenzangu na wale wengine ambao wanaongea Kiswahili. Leo mimi naitwa Maureen Njeri na pia ninaitwa African Queen Mo, na leo nitaongea mambo ya impeachment ya deputy president wetu ambaye anaitwa Gachagua, na alafu what we're going to say, nataka kuongea hii mambo kwa sababu sisi tukiwa wananchi ni lazima tuongee tuongee na tu nini na tujue na tujulishane zile vitu ambazo zinaendelea, you know. And I think at this point I'm going to end my Swahili. I don't know where it went. Naongeanga Kiswahili kizuri sana nikienda Mombasa, lakini sijui kwa nini inapotea nikija Nairobi. Okay, so I was saying that I don't speak very good Swahili when I'm in Nairobi, but when I'm in Mombasa, I speak good in Swahili. I don't know why that is. But let's get right into it, guys. Let's talk about it. So there's some definitions that we need to get out of the way. One of them is the plaintiff and the defendant. The plaintiff is, in this case, is this guy called Mr. Mutuse. He's the person initiating a claim in the civil case. And the defendant is Mr. Gachagua, who is the deputy president, and he's the person being, you know, he's a person being charged in this case, in this civil case, in this case, and of a crime or an offense, okay? Because it's partially criminal case and it's partially a civil case, I guess, you know. But this is actually a political. It's apparently it's a political case. Now, you know, there's a lot of jargon in there that we don't quite understand. And they keep on referring to politics, but in the end, politics also includes, like I said before, it also includes public participation. And public participation is a big part of the decision-making in this case. Okay, so this is what basically happened. The Chief Justice, her name is Martha Koome. She's a lady. There's two Chief Justices, both of them are ladies. One of them is Chief, the other one is Deputy. And the first Chief Justice is Lady Martha Koome, and the Deputy Chief Justice is Lady Justice Philomena Mwilu. So the current Deputy Chief Justice is Justice Philomena Mwilu, like I said. Okay. The role, so basically what happened is that they were trying to explain to us, because the Chief Justice is not around at the moment. A lot of the matters are being handled by the Deputy Chief Justice. But there's a question because we're not, there has been no evidence that the Chief Justice has delegated any responsibility for decision-making to her deputy in writing. She's out of the country. Matters are going on under the Deputy Chief Justice, and this has been considered to be against the law, you know. So because the Deputy Chief Justice only deputizes the Chief Justice and is basically like what you'd call the Vice President of the Supreme Court, She's the Vice President of the Supreme Court, the Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu. And she's responsible to the Chief Justice in the exercise of the functions and duties of the office, So, you know, the Chief Justice is still supposed to be in charge, and there's a process and a procedure to be followed in law, which is different from what we see, for example, with presidents and deputy presidents, for example. So in law, it's a different situation. So another person we should be aware of is the Attorney General, who is the head of the Kenyan State Law Office and the principal legal advisor to the government of Kenya. So we have the Attorney General as well. That the Attorney General is a member of a cabinet, and her name is Dorcas Agik Oduor, and she's the current first woman Attorney General of Kenya. So look, we have 3 women at the helm at the justice in the justice sector, and literally a lot of Kenyans are saying in this impeachment case of the deputy president that the legal arm of government, because there are 3 arms of government, that the legal arm of government is like the last resort for justice for Kenyans. And as you can see, the Attorney General, the Chief Justice, and Deputy Chief Justice are all women. It's quite amazing, actually. I never really thought about that. But they're very highly qualified women. They were vetted, and you know, even their interviews were done publicly online, if you guys remember, Anybody wants to join me in studio, just come in and chat in there. Okay. So let's go into this thing now. I've been trying to understand this stuff. Wow, it's very complicated and convoluted. Apparently, according to a lawyer who was speaking on Inoro FM, his name is Stephen Dicho, he says conservatory orders were provided from the court in Kerugoya, a place called Kerugoya, and in a place called Milimani, and they were live. And those conservatory orders were already given, and shared by what he called spin doctors, even before the media had reported the matter to the public. Can you believe this, guys? Yeah. Conservatory orders. Yeah. So those who had prepared the swearing-in ceremonies respected and honored the orders and stopped the swearing-in of the new appointed deputy president, nominated deputy president, who is Kithure Kindiki. We'll be talking about Dr. Kithure Kindiki because right now he is actually in charge of the security docket in Kenya, and he's actually a state officer. Remember that he's a state officer whenever we're talking about this, okay? Yeah. So Justice Mugambi referred to remove the orders, but decided to give the matter to the Chief Justice, who was supposed to put together a 3-person bench. So these people approached this Justice Mugambi, who, they were trying to remove the orders, remove the conservatory orders, but he decided to give the matter, to send the matter up to his senior, who is the Chief Justice, Martha Koome, and who was supposed to actually put together a 3-person bench to listen to the Attorney General and the government lawyers. Basically, it was the Attorney General and the government lawyers who had come to try to seek the removal of those orders, the removal of those orders, which was basically putting the brakes on the process, putting the brakes on what was happening on the decision by Parliament and the decision by the Senate, because of potentially, basically slamming those brakes. Because as it says, according to my research, there was a potential, for decisions to be made that would cause harm, okay, or imminent harm. And yes, definitely harm was going to happen. Yeah, it was going to be bad because there was a lot of people who were not comfortable or happy with the procedure and the process of the process, as well as the decisions of the Senate, especially because that was the last recourse. Now, the Senate apparently is actually supposed to be a sort of court. It is a sort of court. The Senate is actually a hearing chamber, and also the Parliament is a mentions chamber. Yeah. And so the Senate both hears and makes a decision on cases, and the Parliament basically mostly mentions. And that's why you heard the Mr. Mutuse being the motion mover in the Parliament. Yeah, that is where he mentioned this case. I won't go into detail about this case because I did in my last video. If you go to my last live, you can go in there where I went in quite great detail about the 11 charges against the deputy president. I actually went into them in detail, and you can go into the last one. But today, we're just looking at, the way forward. Where are we going in this case? So according to, I think I'm moving back and forth. According again to this lawyer, Stephen Dicho, according to Stephen Dicho, who happens to be, he said, a student of Kithure Kindiki. Kithure Kindiki, by the way, is PhD law, and he was actually the head of the law school. I met him personally. I know him. Yeah. So I met him when he was at the law school, and he was quite an amazing guy. And I do remember the same thing. Mr. Ndicho also said that he was a very good teacher, very good. And he's also a state officer. But according to his understanding of the law, is that Dr. Kithure Kindiki, as a state officer, would have to leave his state job to take on a political position legally and constitutionally. He would have to have resigned 6 months prior, and not being fired. He would have had to resign and not be fired, because this is according to the Political Parties Act. He should also have joined a political party as a member for 6 months before, and be a member before he can take up any political position. Because as a state officer, he should not be a member of any political party. Okay? So he should be serving all parties equally as a state officer. So you see, this is what disqualifies Kithure Kindiki from taking on the deputy president's seat or the deputy president's appointment, because, it would be irregular for him to be appointed in this manner. No matter what you think, whether you like him, whether you wish that he was the guy, what matters is the law. It's the law. He should have resigned. He should have resigned 6 months prior. He should have become a member of a party, and he should also have he should have also become a member of a political party, and he's not. He's neither of that, So if he was going to be elected or selected or nominated or put in as a DP, it would be irregular. It would be against the constitution. Yeah. So they say that he had to resign 6 months prior, like I said. Yeah. So the lawyers of Gachagua, who is the deputy president, are not bringing up these issues at the moment because these are substantive. They call them substantive issues, which should be raised on the 24th. The 24th is tomorrow, Thursday. I don't know whether they'll be raised tomorrow or Friday, but I know that they're going to be raised at some point. Yeah, the lawyers of Mr. Gachagua. One of the lawyers is Mr. Muite. The other one is the famous Elijah, the guy with the bald head and a mustache. He reminds me of those British comedy guys, but he's no joke. He's actually very, very smart. Yeah, isn't he, Mr. Elijah? I wouldn't want to be in his courtroom, being asked questions by that man. I'll be sweating beads of sweat. Yeah. And so he has 3 very, very smart lawyers. So, but these are weighty, what they call weighty constitutional matters, election versus appointment. Okay. So the law, yeah. So now the question, Mr. Kindiki, though, can perhaps, or Dr. Kindiki can perhaps say, well, there's a difference between being an elected member and being an appointed member. So I don't really know what the law talks about election, not appointment. That means that the DP is supposed to be elected and not really appointed, I guess. Just like Gachagua has been elected and not appointed. And you see, in this particular case, maybe they feel that they can go around the wall, they can circumvent the law, because Kithure Kindiki in this case would have been appointed by the president to become the deputy president. I hope Kithure Kindiki will explain all of this to me one day. Yeah. But you see, in the end, the law is always up for interpretation by the lawyers and defense. So it's up to their interpretation and defense. Yeah. So basically what I'm actually saying here is this, that because the president, Ruto, is appointing and nominating, or has appointed and nominated the Kithure Kindiki, maybe the law would be applied differently. I wonder, there could be ways that they could circumvent the law, I think. I think that's what they're trying to do, circumvent the law, or maybe find a pigeonhole, a gap somewhere. Yeah. So I think that's the issue. But you see, at this point in time, Mr. Gachagua holds a very strong position because he's elected. And if the populace don't believe that he got a fair trial, that would be an issue because he's an elected member. He's an elected deputy president and not nominated. Yeah. So this lawyer was saying, this lawyer who I keep on quoting here, who really helped me to understand a lot of things, lawyer Stephen Disho, he said that just like if you are appointed as a minister, you need to resign from any political party. So you see, if you want to work as a minister or a cabinet secretary, in the government, you have to resign from political party. So in the case of Kithure Kindiki, he would have already resigned from any political party, okay, to become the cabinet secretary of interior, of security. So he needs to have, we are waiting for another 6 months before he can even take up any other role, because he has to resign now. And then we start counting 6 months from now, yeah, which may be next year around April, isn't it? So to me, I believe the only option that Ruto would really have right now is to nominate somebody from his own party who is already a member for 6 months and not a state officer. So this becomes a real catch-22. When they say that he's not qualified, it's not that he doesn't have the right qualifications in terms of his academics. It's about what qualifies him according to the law to take up a position as the deputy president. So they also say there's another issue that's at stake here, which is called the Electorates and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, okay? It plays a huge role in appointing a candidate for the deputy president position, yeah? The name is taken, first of all, the IEBC, which has basically doesn't have a chairperson and doesn't have staff, literally, yeah, at the moment. So it's basically like being quiet and down. Yeah, there's nothing happening at IEBC. Yeah, but it plays a very big role in bringing in, yeah, in helping with the nomination and appointments or whatever it is, the elections of the deputy president. So the IEBC plays a big role in appointing a candidate for the deputy president position. The name is taken by the IEBC to the president, and then he forwards it. The president forwards it to the speaker of the Senate of the Parliament, because he has to be cleared by the IEBC. Then he has to be cleared by the DCI, the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, for good conduct. Then he has to be cleared by the anti-corruption, yeah, the Anti-Corruption Commission, and he has to be cleared by CRB, you guys, with M-Pesa, that he hasn't got outstanding loans, to show that he has no outstanding loans. There's a lot of things that the IEBC has to do. They have a role to play. And the clearance of the IEBC is taken to a returning officer, and that name is listed. The problem now is that the IEBC is not functional. And that in itself is another strong ground for the defense team. Can you imagine, guys? So there's this thing of the IEBC. There's the issue of the fact that he's a state officer. Yeah? So the IEBC is not functional, and it's a strong ground for the defense team stating that there is no clearance from IEBC. This thing is so interesting. It's amazing. Are you guys following me so far? Tuko, I see your 8 of you there. Thank you very much for the thumbs up. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Please join me in studio if you want to chat. I know you probably know much more than I do. I'm just a layman out here just trying to figure it, and it would be really nice to get clarification, to get people to join me in studio. The link is there in the comment section, so just go ahead. But, this is our way of doing public participation. That way, you can kind of tell to what extent we're really following or understanding what's going on. For those of you who are lawyers and understand, right in the legal system, you need to understand, based on my understanding, whether or not this participation is actually making any sense at all out there. Yeah? Do we understand what's going on out there? Do your people know? Does the populace understand? Are we following? Do we understand it, guys? If I don't get it, and I'm a professional, believe me, many others are not getting it. Yeah, many people, it's going in through one year, out the other year. They're just saying, me, I want Kithure Kindiki to become the deputy president now. But we don't realize that there are laws. There's the IEBC. There's the issue that he's a state officer. There's the issue that he's being appointed, and yet it's supposed to be an elected position. Yeah, the IEBC is not functional. Hey, guys, it doesn't have returning officers. Hey, yeah, and that's a big, big, big issue, people, isn't it? Yeah. But let me go on. While you're not in studio, let me continue hogging the mic. I hope you're enjoying. Thank you, sir. I can tell that you're enjoying. Please put your comments and questions in there. I'll be happy to answer, or somebody can answer. People can answer each other in the comment section. Let me make sure, first of all, that you are even able to comment. Yeah, it's there, StreamYard. Yeah, it's open. It's open. So let's continue with this. I think this is what I call my news roundup. Yeah. So what I wanted to say about this is that Kenya is not a banana republic. We are a country that respects law and order. And we expect and hope that the lawyers, the judiciary, the 3 arms of government will respect law and order in this case. It's absolutely critical and important that we respect law and order and be seen. It's not just a matter of delivering justice, but also to be seen to deliver justice. Okay. Here are some other issues that I picked up, recently from listening to the news and listening to what's going on. And by the way, there are 2 bees that look like they want to bite me over here. Okay. The government of Kenya is supposed to have separations of power of the parliament, the executive, and the judiciary. According to the Constitution, these three arms of government, the parliament, executive, and judiciary. Who are the parliament and who are the executive and who are the judiciary? You guys know who the judiciary are. I don't think we need to explain who those are. Yeah. Those are the Supreme Court, the High Court, and the Appeals Court. I believe there are three, if not four. Yeah. I know there's the Supreme Court. I think it starts with the High Court, then it goes to Appeals Court, and then I don't know where it goes, then it goes to Supreme Court. Okay. And the Supreme Court is the supreme law of the land. There, that's where matters are decided quickly and fully and they're over. Okay. No appeals. Now, they are supposed to have separation of powers. The executive is basically the president and the vice president's office. Yeah, the deputy president and the president's office. That's the executive. And then we have the parliament. The parliament is called the National Assembly. Basically, we have the National Assembly and then we have the Senate. So we have the National Assembly, which is the members of parliament, and then we have the Senate, where they make all the laws. Yeah, the Senate is supposed to look at the laws, review laws and policies, and make sure that they are, in line with the Constitution. And the members of parliament are supposed to ensure that they represent the views of the people. The MPs are supposed to ensure that they represent the views of the people at all times. Yeah. And the question is, are they doing that? So, some of the opinions that have been raised are that in the 60 years after independence, we had independence in Kenya in 1964. Yeah. That's when we celebrated our independence. Yeah. The president or the executive should not be into giving orders to parliament. There's some sort of amnesia. Hold on, let me get rid of these bees. Don't ask me why they're coming in here now. There's a hive right around here. So in the 60 years after independence, there seems to be some sort of amnesia, constitutional amnesia. They're operating on the old constitution where the president is do all, say all, But in this particular case, we have three arms of government which are completely independent and separate and have separate powers. Okay, so the Gachagua lawyers are arguing against the unconstitutional or illegal interference of the executive in the constitution of the three-person bench, which is conducting the legal proceedings. There's a three-person bench that was put together by the Deputy Chief Justice Philomena, Lady Justice Philomena, and that is conducting the current, which is reviewing the court cases. I believe that they had a set number of court cases to review. I think there were 6 court cases, but apparently there's an issue there because they are actually looking at more than 6. They were directed to review 6 cases only. The 3 judges are Ogola, Mugambi, and Mirima. Yeah. And apparently they even sat in on a Saturday. Okay. And they were supposed to look at the 6 particular cases, but apparently they also decided to look at another case that came from a different jurisdiction, which is Kerugoya, and that is touching on the nomination by the president of Kithure Kindiki as deputy president. Okay, so in other words, they're going beyond their TOR, beyond their scope of work, and that is another problem right there. Yeah, that has been identified. And these issues keep on coming up. Every day you hear one more thing, one more thing, one more thing. So they're sitting there to listen to a case from Kerugoya, that the petitioner wrote to the Chief Justice. But the problem is, again, like I said, the Chief Justice, it's not clear whether the Chief Justice has actually given permission to her Deputy Chief Justice to go ahead and constitute this bench. Yeah, this bench of judges. They call it what? They have a name for it. Empaneled. I don't know what it's called. Empaneled. Something like that. Some weird word that they use. Yeah. So what my advice would be that the judiciary should resist any attempt by the executive or by the legislature, by the judiciary or the parliament, which is, the National Assembly or the Senate, to interfere. They should, be as independent as possible and be seen to be as independent as possible. It's very important because, the public needs to have confidence in the judiciary. Otherwise, this country can end up in anarchy and unrest. Yeah? Anarchy and unrest, because you see, this is the kind of thing that can actually, light up people's emotions. People right now are so emotional. This is just the wrong time. People are emotional, they're stressed. The economy is so bad, guys. People are so stressed. The last thing that they want to imagine is that they will not have anywhere to take their complaints and get heard fairly and get a fair hearing. So I'm really, really praying and hoping that the judiciary is going to maintain its independence. So this is what the deputy presidents, the defense lawyers are saying. They're arguing against the unconstitutional or illegal interference of the executive in the constitution of a 3-person bench, which is conducting these hearings. And I believe that they went on resource because of this, because they were asked about the constitutionality. That's why you hear that we are in a constitutional crisis. I'm sure you guys have heard this one before. We are in a constitutional crisis. Why? Because the rules are being flouted. They seem to be flouted. Yeah. And then also there's a question, I believe, that the president himself has said that the High Court has no right, literally, to be interfering or to be handling this case. It should be handled by the Supreme Court, which is not correct according to the law. According to the law, that matter does apply. But guess what? Only to the presidency position, not to the deputy presidency position. The deputy presidency position follows a different track compared to the president position. The president's position is handled straight away, I believe, by one of the courts, either Supreme Court or the High Court, just one. And that's where it ends. But I believe it's actually the Supreme Court. It's the only one that handles the presidency. But the deputy can work with, the deputy's case starts with the High Court. It can go to the Court of Appeals. It can end up in the Supreme Court. And it can take years because it's not easy. It's not supposed to be easy to be impeaching presidents. Yeah, the process of, election process should be respected. It should be respected. So if you make it so easy to impeach deputy presidents and presidents, then really you water down the whole process and make it like a laughing stock. Yeah, and that's just basically where we are right now with that. Vacancy? Kennedy Masibo, vacancy. What vacancy are we discussing, Kennedy? Are you asking to join me in studio? You're very welcome if you want to join. Yeah, otherwise I think I am not so sure what you're asking about the vacancy, at least, but thank you for the question. Yeah. So I think, are you asking about the vacancy, about whether we're going to end up having a vacant deputy president position? At the moment, we still have a deputy president. He's still there because he actually has not been impeached yet. Yeah. Yeah, those orders have not been removed. So he's still there. And it's possible that we could have a vacancy, which would be kind of like, how do we operate with just a president and no deputy president? That would just be something else. Yeah. So we have some defense lawyers there who are so interesting. Elisha Ogonya, he presented a very, very strong defense case. Yeah. And I think all of us were so impressed by the professionalism of all the lawyers anyway, most of the lawyers. The only person we were not impressed with is this gentleman called Mr. Mutuse, who was actually quite embarrassing, wasn't he? Wasn't he really embarrassing? Yeah. All right. Yeah. So that's basically where we are with that particular issue. Yeah. And I think other things that I think might be of interest, other issues that might be of interest to us is the fact that we are now hearing, in relation to the impeachment trial, we are hearing from some of the senators that there seem to have been some coercion. There seem to have been like threats, or masked threats, should I say, to them. One of them is this lady called Tabitha Keroche. She revealed, according to this post by Martin Munene Mati on X, it says Tabitha Keroche reveals how they were ordered by William Ruto and Kithure Kindiki to impeach Rigathi, or else there would be serious consequences. I don't really think I would use the word ordered, but they were coerced. At least that is what they're reporting. That's what she's reporting. Tabitha Keroche, who's a senator, and also, if you guys know, Tabitha Keroche is also the owner of a big brewery here, Keroche Breweries, which has seen, has been quite successful, but also has been through some rough times. Tabitha Keroche also lost a daughter, which was really sad, by the way. Mysteriously, she lost a daughter, I believe it was in Lamu, yeah, a grown daughter. But Tabitha Keroche, who is a senator, she revealed how they were coerced and how she ended up, she talked about being in a 2-hour meeting with the president. I read that somewhere. And she was in a 2-hour meeting with the president where he said, well, it's up to you, to whoever you want to choose, but realize that there will be consequences depending on the decision that you take. I mean, that kind of sounds like a little bit of a threat, a veiled threat. It's a bit scary. Yeah, in fact, if I read somewhere else, it says specifically, Senator Tabitha Keroche has detailed her meeting with President William Ruto prior to Rigathi Gachagua's impeachment trial. Tabitha Keroche said that Ruto held a meeting with her for 2 hours, bringing to light his rift with Gachagua. So he made it known that he was not in good terms with his deputy. She added that the Interior Cabinet Secretary, who is Kithure Kindiki, who is a state officer, also invited her and other senators to a meeting, suggesting that voting against Gachagua's removal could have consequences. So, this is actually written by Faith Chandianya, who is a journalist at Tuko. So this is from tuko.co.ke. She brings 3 years of experience covering politics and current affairs in Kenya. So these are not my words. These are the words of Tuko, talking about how the Nakuru senator revealed intriguing details regarding the circumstances surrounding the removal from office. So the thing is that it's really unfortunate, because this seems to indicate interference by the executive in the impeachment trial and interference in the other arms of government, which is wrong, absolutely wrong if it really did occur. Yeah. And she's not alone. She's not alone. She has said that, and others have even claimed that some people were being given handshakes, money, big money, especially the senators. There was mention of a certain number of millions of shillings that was being offered to senators. I think it was either 5 or 6 million shillings, 5 or 6 million bribes. And for the parliament, the MPs were being offered something between 1 and 3 million shillings to vote out Gachagua. Now, first of all, you guys need to understand that I am actually neutral. I am not on any one of these people's sides. Certainly not Gachagua. I'm not. But I am on the side of justice, and I really would like to see justice, work. I'd like to see the justice system work, just like all of you guys would like, I'm sure, And so we are trying to follow and understand what we are hearing in the news. What are we actually hearing? Yeah, that's one of the biggest problems. Interference. There's interference going on right now. Again, the defense lawyer of Mr. Gachagua, again, there's an issue to do with, apart from interference, there's the issue of forgery. What do we say? There's a problem of fake accounts being used. Elisha Ongonya wrote to the DCI over fake accounts impersonating them, and he listed all those accounts. They were identified and reported 58 social media accounts using his name and facial image. So you guys, whatever you read on the social media, you have to vet and check, There's a lot of fraud going on. That's the right word. There's a lot of fraud going on, and we have to be aware that there's a lot of fraud, and there's fraud on all levels, you people, not just in the political sphere, not just in the justice sector, but also out here where we're working with mobile money transfers. There's a lot of fraud going on. There's reports of fraud everywhere. Yeah. So the lawyer asked the CAK to shut down the accounts or liaise with service providers to remove them and prevent further misguidance. So be careful what you read about. What they say is what Elisha is saying and what he's not saying, because some of those accounts are fake. Yeah, we can't trust every single thing that we see. Some of this will require us to actually go and read. Yeah. Yeah. So again, going back again to our president, William Ruto, the reports state that he is opposed to the case being filed by Rigathi Gachagua challenging his impeachment. And he is opposed to that. But the trouble is, the question that we're asking is, who moved the motion? We thought the motion was moved by this guy called Mr. Mutuse, who could not even provide any evidence on the 11 charges. But apparently, there are rumors, or, there's indication that he may not be the only motion mover based on the statements by the president himself. According to the president, the case challenging the deputy president's impeachment was a preserve of the Supreme Court. And the question people are asking is, why should he have any opinion? Why should he mention his opinion? Because you see, his opinion will carry a lot of weight, and therefore it can also bias the case. But we don't want biased cases here. Yeah. His legal team, they talk about Ruto's legal team argued, that's the government's legal team, that civil and criminal proceedings cannot be instituted in any court against the president or the person performing the functions of the office of the president during the tenure of office in respect to anything done or not done under the Constitution. The president urged the three-judge bench to throw out Gashagua's petition, arguing that it was defective and an abuse of court processes. Now, is this an abuse of court processes, or is this a misunderstanding of the Constitution and what the court processes are and what they should be? Because based on what I heard from the previous lawyer, yeah, the deputy president has every right to have, in fact, he's following procedure. It's procedural. So the question of whether it's procedural or not is an issue. Yeah. So let me go back to you guys and see what you're saying here. Nobody's saying anything yet. We have 8 people watching, 10 likes. Thank you guys. I do appreciate it. I'd love for you to join me. Yeah, I really would love for you to join me in studio. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Yeah. Meanwhile, have you guys heard of this lady called Dr. Professor Wandia Njoya? Yeah. She is so, she's very, very vocal. In July 2024, way before this case, okay, I came across an article that was written in The Elephant, okay, by The Elephant. And I always like to give credit where it's due. It's an analysis of the rise of clueless political elite, okay, talking about how Kenyan politics has deteriorated to the level of, she mentions, the grotesque, where grandeur, obscene wealth, contempt, and spectacular violence against citizens have been normalized as a political culture. Now, I'll be talking about violence in a few minutes because we have been hearing a lot about what's going on out there, and there is a lot of violence, and it's not a safe time or a safe space, especially for women and for people who have any political opinions. Yeah, anyone who expresses political opinions, okay? So I'll read a little bit of what she said, which I thought was quite interesting. I won't talk about racism really because that she talked about. Oh yeah, here it is. I highlighted it. Yeah. For 2 months, Kenyans had tried to negotiate with the political elite to withdraw the proposed finance bill. This is talking, this one was published in June. So that, at that particular time, we were talking about the 2024 finance bill, right? It's actually related to what, to the current impeachment process because it's part of rolling moss. Kenyans have been on a roll the whole year, you know? It's like our temperatures are rising every minute. First, we had the protest by the Gen Zs against the finance bill. Now we're here facing an impeachment. And on top of that, we have the housing levy issues, guys. So let's just go back a little bit. Let's step back a little bit into June of this year. They diligently honored the constitutional mandate of public participation in sending, in sending their statements to Parliament. These are the Gen Zs, and the people who are opposing the finance bill. Diligently honored the constitutional mandate for public participation. But the politicians stubbornly stood their ground, And some were really arrogant, some arrogantly declaring that they would not change even a comma in the bill. And Kenyans rammed up pressure, contacting their individual MPs by phone, telling them not to vote for the bill. But together with the media, politicians laughed it off, chuckling at the numerous insults politicians were receiving on their phones. They were laughing. They thought it was a joke, The cluelessness was reinforced by Karen. Okay, she talked about Karen Nyamo, who serves as the Barbie of the current parliament. Those are her words, right? Let's not get into that, though. By mid-June, the politicians started to get uneasy about the public dissonance and chose to amend some of the most egregious clauses. Some of the clauses that were just unacceptable. But by then, Kenyans had had enough. They insisted that the entire bill had to be rejected, not amended, and they decided to escort the politicians to Parliament to vote against that bill. So the ensuing storming of the Parliament, finally made the political class realize that Kenyans were serious. But by then, it was clear that the political establishment had been caught flat-footed. The president first reacted with threatening speech, then adopted a more conciliatory note or tone in his next address. In the following days, he gave an interview that exposed him as unfeeling and unsympathetic. But he withdrew the bill. So basically, the bill was withdrawn after the Gen Zs literally escorted the MPs to Parliament and forced them to basically remove it. So finally, it was removed. So the question is, how did Kenya, with all the accolades for being a progressive constitution and dynamic public sphere, how did we end up with such hopelessly clueless and, clueless political elite? She uses a lot of hard terminology, very big terms, which I'm not going to use here. I try to make things as simple as possible. But basically, she talked about two other factors in the Kenyan society she considers responsible for blocking this reckoning with our truth. The constant suppression of economic conversation in Kenyan politics. Guys, we are not talking about the economy. The constant suppression of the economic conversation. We are not having a conversation about our economy. And sometimes some of these things, the way I see them, it's kind of like a way to kind of redirect our attention away from the economy, things that matter, everyday things that can actually cause riots in this country. Now we're talking about, we are focusing on the deputy president instead of focusing on our economy, which is tanking. And the anti-intellectual and what did she say about? And the anti-intellectual and specifically the anti-arts education agenda. Yes, the anti-arts education agenda. Why is it important to study the arts? The arts is where we express ourselves culturally. It's where we interrogate. It's where we can use our minds to have critical thinking. Critical thinking is something that is not being encouraged globally. You're not supposed to think. You're just supposed to accept 1 + 1 = 2, and that's it. You're told something, you implement. So the arts, literature, social studies, understanding our history, all of that is being thrown under the bus, and we're being encouraged to adopt what? To adopt STEM. And we think that STEM is the best, which is the sciences, the science and maths. That is good, but that's not all. And that's not how we express ourselves. Those pyramids that were built, they were built using the arts and the sciences, by Africans. Africans established writing. Writing is an art. Yeah, writing is an art. Drawing, and not just drawing, but also planning. Planning is an art. Yeah, drawing, architectural drawings. That's an art and also a science. So the idea that we have to do either arts or sciences is a big issue, and I agree with her because she's actually a professor at the university, so she talks, very academically. Basically, she argues in a very academic way, which might not be all useful here. Okay, so that's where we are so far in terms of that, and let me see what else I wanted to cover. I will talk about some positive things, but only after I talk about the bad news. They say, do you want the good news or you want the bad news first? Yeah, like I was talking about things to do with fraud and things like that. We have Safaricom customers. There's a Safaricom customer who is questioning the fast depletion of data. I think we should all go to Safaricom and ask them, why is the data depleting so fast? And Safaricom explained that data billing is based on the type of content accessed rather than the amount of time spent online. The type of content accessed rather than the amount of time spent online. So you can spend a lot of time online writing emails or chatting on WhatsApp, and it won't take a lot of data. But if you go and you start watching videos like the one that you're watching right now, it will take up a lot of your data. That is true. So we have something else, guys, that is in the market that is called Starlink. As much as I like Safaricom, we have options. Yeah, we have Starlink that is coming into the market, that has come into the market, but I worry that it will also create unfair competition for our Safaricom, which we are so proud of. But on the other hand, if Safaricom is not giving us good deals, why not just get Starlink, I think, for 1,400 and something, and get data plus voice, for a month? That would be much cheaper than trying to keep on loading your phone. Although I can see that Safaricom is also trying to do its best. So there's this issue to do with data fraud. Data fraud. It's a big issue. Yeah, we're being defrauded even of our monies when it comes to data. Now, let me see what else I picked up on. I tend to be looking at things in a wide manner because I want to talk about other things that are also impacting us. After all, that is our topic for today, isn't it, guys? Our topic is, where are we with the DP impeachment case? What is likely to happen and what else is going on? Okay, I want to ask you guys a question. Can you answer what is likely to happen? Somebody has written, Kennedy Masibo has written, vacancy? Can you guys go in there and have a chat with him? Yeah? Somebody respond to that. Kennedy Masibo, thank you very much for your comment there. You're saying vacancy. Will this create a vacancy in the DP position? I don't know. I am not so sure. But I don't think so. Actually, the way I look at it is, if the law was to be followed to the T, I would highly suspect that Mr. Gachagua, whether we like it or not, will probably retain his position as the deputy president. Why? Simply because it will take a very long time to go through the whole court process of impeaching him, right from the High Court to the to the appeals court to the Supreme Court. And on top of that, one would have to look at all the charges leveled against him, one by one by one by one, see if they were fairly charged against him, and then maybe go back to the mover of the motion and get him to answer those questions again. Because you see, the High Court has to review. These are just my own opinions, but I'd love to hear your opinions about this. Of course, many of you would like to see Gachagua go tomorrow. To me, I would share your opinions, actually. Yeah. I said I was neutral, but I'm not quite. Yeah. I would love to see a change of guard, but I'd like to see it done constitutionally and legally, properly. Again, you see, you guys, we have this extension of this to 7 years, and we have to give did you guys know that we have to give our public participation, our views, in writing, on email, by tomorrow? Can you guys go to X and look up that sheet where you have to go and fill in your names? I got something was forwarded to me. I'm going to see if I can find it here and share it with you guys. Public participation in extension of in the extension of the terms of the term for the president, deputy president, for the executive. Yeah, this is crazy. I mean, this is worrisome, actually, a bit scary, actually. Let me see here. Yeah, yeah, here on my phone, right over here. I don't think you can see it. Okay, let me bring it back to where I am over here. Yeah, on my phone, right over here. Yeah. Below is a memorandum of opposition to the proposed extension of elective positions for 5 years to 7 years. Just copy and paste it in your email and hit send. So look for this memorandum of opposition to the proposed extension. Let me write it in here so that you guys can see it. Okay. Memorandum of opposition to the proposed extension of elective positions from 5 years to 7 years. We only have today, guys, we have today. We have to send it in today. If you guys have not seen this, please make sure. If you're Kenyan, please go in. It says memorandum of opposition to the proposed extension of elective positions from 5 years to 7 years. If you are opposed to this, you as a public, you have to publicly participate by filling in this information. Go and look for it. Please, guys, just go online, look for this memorandum of opposition to the proposed extension of elective positions from 5 years to 7 years. This is going to affect us, you people. It's going to affect us. You're supposed to send the email to the clerk.senate@parliament, okay, .go.ke, and copy it to Senate Senate JLAHRC@parliament.co. Okay, so just look for that. If you find that document, if somebody could find it and paste it on here, that would be really good. But just be aware that you can go in there and oppose this motion, guys. You can oppose it. Do you want 7 years? Guys, we're going to be saying goodbye to this team when? Like in when? Oh, scary. Memorandum of opposition to the term limit extensions. That's what it's about. That's what else is going on. Yeah. So what do I think is going to go on? What do I think is going to happen? What I think is going to happen is that the DP, who has already been impeached by the Senate and the Parliament, it may be nullified. How about if it's nullified, guys? What happens? Yeah? What if I'm right? I'm not saying I wish that it's nullified. I'm saying it may be based on the law as I understand it, as I, Queen Mo, understands it. And I may be wrong. And if I'm wrong, please help me to understand it better. Okay? Yeah. So if you have a different opinion, please tell me why you think that he is going na ameenda and this is a done deal and he's gone. Why? Is it because of the powers that the president has? Is it because of, the power that he has? Because he has been known not to, to circumvent the law in some case. Yeah. Such as interference. Yeah. What has been already reported by Tabitha Keroche and company. Yeah. So is that one of the reasons, or what is it? Yeah. So in other good news, Ngong Amatatu, plying the Gong route, has become the first to install Starlink internet for passengers. Yeah, you guys? This is amazing. Starlink is actually, I believe, something from Elon Musk. Elon Musk is the one who is promoting Starlink. And there is this. Now it's going to be available on our matatus, our beautiful matatus. Our beautiful public service vehicles are going to have internet in Kenya. A first for Kenya. This is amazing. Yeah. And some people are asking, how much will they charge me to roam with the matatu all day? But there'll be people who are in the matatu all day roaming with the internet. They would rather pay, for roaming. And then one-on-one. Remember, your internet service provider can hack your phone. That's what some people are saying. Be careful that your phone is not hacked. Other people are saying, someone is calculating how to steal the receiver from the roof. Kenyans are so hilarious. I love Kenyans, by the way. And others are telling the matatu not to pass certain routes because it will probably be hijacked or whatever, Kenyans are just hilarious. I just love Kenyans. We are such a beautiful people, you guys. Let's not lose our happiness. Let's not lose our joy as we're going through this whole season. Yeah? Let's try our best to keep positive, regardless of what's going on in the season. Yeah. Oh my goodness. So let's just see. So I think we've covered just about everything. Let me see if I've got anything else. If you guys have any questions, please, like I said, ask. Or if you have any comments, please state. Now, I'm going to talk about things which are not nice. Things that are not nice that are happening. Others that are not nice. The last time that I did this live show on Monday, I reported that one of the MCAs had lost their daughter. Today, I want to report to you, they lost their daughter to murder. Their daughter had been found killed. Yeah? And in fact, that daughter was killed by a boyfriend. Yeah, it was a jealousy thing. It's really sad, really sad. Today, I have, unfortunately, some more information to report that 4 more women have been killed since then. One lady in Gong, who has been found with some of her hand chopped off, and 2 other girls who went to try to look, Somali girls, who were going to look for their mother, who had come late. These are mature women. All 3 ladies, the mother and the 2 daughters. The 2 daughters who went to escort their mother, who had seemed to have arrived late. All 3 of those women were murdered, and that one girl has also been found murdered in Gong. So what I want to say is, and then I also saw on TikTok a lady saying that if there are parents who are stressed today, it is those ones with children in colleges. Children in colleges, parents of children in colleges and universities are stressed like hell. They keep on calling their children all the time to say, where are you? Yeah? Did you go to class? If you've been to class, can you make sure that you get back to your dorm as quickly as possible? Call me when you get back to the dorm. I mean, that is the highest level of anxiety that you give a parent. That you'll be worrying every day about the security and safety of your child every second in your own country. It's really sad, guys, isn't it? Yeah? And I think that we should not sweep this information under the carpet, because why does it seem to be a coincidence? Why is it happening simultaneously as these cases? Yeah? Why? I think, our country has to really repent. We have to repent, and we have to clean ours. We need cleansing. Otherwise, we're not going anywhere as a country, really. Too much blood is being spilled in our country. Too much. Just too much. And it's not acceptable. Why is it that we cannot accept alternative views? Why is it that we cannot accept each other? Why is it that we cannot accept no? Why are we so egotistical? Why do we have to have such big egos that we're not afraid of spilling blood? Blood is a terrible thing to spill, by the way. It's spiritual. It doesn't end. It comes back. It haunts you. Very bad thing. So, condolences to those families that have lost their dear loved ones. Let us rally around those people. Let's find them, find them and say sorry. Even if you're just going to send a message and say, really sorry for the loss of your loved one, express empathy. As Kenyans, we need to learn to be more empathetic. Yeah, we need to learn to be empathetic. Don't make jokes about people who are losing their children. It could be you next. Yeah, it could be one of your loved ones. It could be your loved nephew or niece. Why should we have an insecure country? Why can't we live in peace? Why can't we live securely? Why can't we argue like adults, all of us? Yeah? Yeah, why? Everything will suffer. If everyone will suffer if we decide to go the violent way. And I definitely would also like to request our Kenyans to be very careful of anybody talking about going to war, because we don't want. Some of us who have been working with NGOs, and anyone who has worked with the army, NGOs, worked in humanitarian situations like I have, working in countries which are insecure. You do not want that in our country. We do not want that. We do not. Let's try our best to use the court systems. And I pray to God that our Chief Justice and all the Deputy Chief Justices, our Attorney General, all of them will make sure that they follow the law, because it also affects their careers. By the way, we are all, as professionals, we have to sign what we have to be ethical in our professional. We have to observe professional ethics. Ethics is so important. And the whole world is watching. I have friends on here who are watching from America, from UK. They're Africans. They're from Zimbabwe. They're from Cameroon. They're from Nigeria. They're all watching. Kenya is an example, because this is the first case that is going of the deputy president. This is the first case in Africa of an impeachment of a deputy president using the constitution in this manner. So we need to be a good example. We need to show that we know what we're doing. Yeah. Yeah. And because I have the platform, and because I have your ears, at least I have 9 of you watching for now, I would like to also promote the idea. I want to perpetuate this idea of having balanced gender in power. In other words, the next presidency that comes in must feature both woman and man. Yeah, there should be a man and a woman. We need a man and a woman. Can you imagine, guys, if we had Martha Koome right now? As tough as she is, I've met her. I met her in person and she scared the life out of me. And it was supposed to be a fun, it was a hotel. We're having a big function. And she wasn't smiling with anyone, really, She was just sitting there. And everybody was flanking her. But, I really admire her because she's so straight. She is so nobody's perfect in this world. But can you imagine how many people would be actually facing the law right now? Lawbreakers would have been facing the law. Then they'll be in jail right now. Do you know they would be competing, because we women, we like to compete with one another. She'll be competing with President Suluhu of Tanzania right now to show us who is the best president. I'm going to do another follow-up to show the best female women presidents in Africa and globally, and what they have achieved, so that we can start selling the idea of having a woman president or vice president. It would be fabulous, guys. It would be so good, because every woman has to go or has to hear from someone who went to the market. Every woman has to leave money for the market, so we know the prices of goods in the market. Every woman wants their children to succeed, and every woman will look out for every other woman's child. And this is the reason why, guys, we should definitely have balance in leadership. Just like in the home, it should be balanced as much as possible. Man, woman, leadership. And not the kind of man who's going to be sitting on the woman and not listening to her. No, we need a man like Magufuli, who listened, who thought ahead and had a deputy and listened to her and left her in charge when he went. Yeah, that's what we need. We need to be proud. We need to reclaim our country and be proud of Kenya, because we are proud Kenyans. We love our country and we're not giving up. And this is why I'm here. We're not going to give up on Kenya. No way, we're not. We're not giving up on Kenya. And we're not giving up on our airport. We're not giving up on Safaricom. We're not giving up on all that work that we have done for so many years, guys. We haven't. But we want fair competition as well. Okay, I'm going to end this one with a report about Rwanda. Rwandan Health Ministry reports waning of the Marburg epidemic, urges continue. So did you guys remember about this monkeypox thing? Still be vigilant. Monkeypox is still out there, apparently. Fortunately, they decided against the lockdown. They decided against locking down and against isolations and things like that, which is good, because our economies are not strong enough to handle it anymore. We saw the impact of COVID on our economies, and we don't want to go that direction, really. Yeah. Yeah. So next time I'm going to cover more. I think I've been on here for a long time. Talking by myself. You guys have refused to join me in studio. Why are you scared? I don't know. Nyokabi. Hi, Nyokabi. Hi, my great friend. How are you, my dear? How's everything going? You want to join me in studio? What do you have to say? What do you have to say about Gachagua? I know you have a lot to say. What do you have to say? I have a friend, I won't mention her name. There's a time she told me, could you stop fighting, Mo? Eh? Kila, what did she tell me? Serikali ina wenyewe. I remember she told me that. I was like, what are you talking about, girl? You have to continue fighting. Hmm? What do you mean? What are you talking about? Ati serikali ina wenyewe. That's what people believe, that every country has its owners. I'm like, no, I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that. We are the owners. We Kenyans, we are the owners of our country. You Zimbabweans are the owners of your country. You know, claim it back. Reclaim your country. Reclaim it, and let's reclaim Africa, like Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso. Isn't he cute with his beautiful dimples? Hmm? And he is so serious. I just like him, you know? And he has refused to accept his salary increase. He says he's a soldier, and he has so much respect. He has, garnered so much respect, even from Junguzi, just looking at him. Yeah, ni moto wa kuotewa mbali. That is the best kind of respect. That's the best kind of leadership to have. That kind of leadership that elicits respect from other people is amazing, you know. I agree with you. I agree with you, Nyakabi, that sad situation about Gachagua, but then again, was he right for that seat? That's a good question. That's a good question. And I guess maybe the question that we can ask is, yes, was he right for the seat is not what we are talking about right here. The issue is the process that is being used to impeach him. Is a process used to impeach the deputy president one that can be used in future to impeach another deputy president? Yeah? I would agree with you that he's certainly, to me, he doesn't seem to be the right person for the seat. But on the other hand, would you say that the president is the right person for the seat? I mean, can we just go and impeach people just like that? We need to respect our election processes. But it's true, it's sad for him. And on top of that, he doesn't seem to know when to shut his mouth. Gachagua. Gachagua. I think Dorcas is a long-suffering wife. She's just a fabulous wife. I mean, anybody who has a wife like Dorcas, she should, I don't know. She's wife goals. For you guys out there, Dorcas is wife goals. Because there are not many Dorcases around. There are many, I always tell my son, there are many women, but very few wives. Many. Just like I'll tell a woman, there are many men, but few husbands. Very few. Now, and I'm diverting. There are very many women out there. Women, beautiful women, but very few wife material. Very few wives. Dorcas is wife material. Wife. She's a wife. And of those of us who are wives, you better look at Dorcas. But that woman, man, she stands by her man. Whether or not he runs his mouth, whether or not his jacket is fitting correctly, whether he's saying the right or the wrong thing, she's standing by him. And that reminds me, because Dorcas is a pastor. Did you guys hear about Pastor Wairimo? Pastor, is her name Wairimo? Yeah, Pastor Wairimo is complaining now. She's saying she is so embarrassed. I am so embarrassed. Oh my God. We supported you, the Ruto administration, and now we're so embarrassed. Did she say that when she was collecting her envelope? See, she was removed from the WhatsApp group of intercessors. I hear there's even a budget for intercessors, by the way, guys. How could she support them in the first place? These people are going to her church, giving her big bahashas. Now she's suddenly very embarrassed. You know what worries me is that you call yourself a prophetess, you call yourself a pastor, I don't know, a bishop, I don't know a what, but you can't even recognize the devil when you see him. It takes a drunk person to see the devil. But those guys who have the title bishop, pastor, sijui nini, very few of them can actually see the devil for who he is. That is weird, guys. That is just weird. You know, the Bible talks about false prophets. They're all out there. They're all out there, guys. False prophets ni wengi sana. I don't want to call her a false prophet, but if she continues the way she's going, it would be difficult for me not to put her into that category because I'm quite disgusted. Teresia Wairimo, that's her name. Beautiful lady, gorgeous, pretty lady. But my God, how she can quickly just turn around and start talking about being so embarrassed. Do you know what I think she's embarrassed, what she's worried about, and what most of them are worried about, guys? They're worried about the coffers of the church going empty. You know why? Because a lot of Kenyans right now, their businesses are being closed. A lot of people are being auctioned. A lot of people don't have money to give to the church. They're saying a lot of prayers, intercessory prayers. They're not working in the churches, especially those churches where they're going for the brown envelopes, you people. They are not going. Yeah, so Nyakabi, what do you have to say about that? What do you have to say about that? Well, she's back. Yeah. There are some people who are good friends and they're good friends for life, you know? Yeah. So all I can say is, you know, be careful. If you go to church, read your Bible. You don't go to church and let other people read your Bible for you. You read your own Bible, man, and find out what it's saying. It tells you about the false prophets. In fact, I love the book of Proverbs. For me, I consider myself a Christian, okay? But mostly it's because I really love the book of Proverbs. The book of Proverbs, it's like a book of life. There's one particular verse that keeps coming to my mind, yeah? Especially with this impeachment trial. There's this one verse that says, "He who wanders from the path of understanding rests in the assembly of the dead." Do you guys know that verse? Yeah? He who wanders from the path of understanding rests in the assembly of the dead. What it means is that if one does not learn to use critical thinking to evaluate situations, yeah, you can end up making mistakes that can end up making you lose not just your life, but also make you lose your property, your money, your relationships, many things. And actually, I'd written it down here at some point. It's Proverbs 21:16. Look it up. Go and read the book of Proverbs. There are so many fabulous proverbs in there that will help you and me, yeah, to become better people and to become wiser people. Yeah. Teresia Wairimo. She wandered from the path of understanding. Politics and the church don't mix. They don't mix. They don't. Most politics is dirty. Yeah. And especially this type of mixing. When they were told, do you guys remember when all the bishops and pastors were told to go and, you know, pray in tongues and walk around the state house and I don't know, do anointing oils, spraying, I don't know what they was spraying at the state house. Sorry, I'm moving too much with my background and it's also moving with me. Apologies for that. But nah, I don't buy it. Sorry, Professor. Sorry, Teresia Wairimo. I apologize, but I don't agree with you. And I think you need to apologize to your congregation and to Kenyans, together with all those pastors who went and supported this regime that has put us where we are. Yeah, in your country, church and politics should not mix. Why are they mixing? Yeah, these guys, there's a conflict of interest there. It's a conflict of interest. There will always be other interests, and I really admire those people who have managed to stay out. Just stay out. Yokavi is saying, church in Kenya is very hypocritical. They are now having something to say because one of their supporters, quote unquote, read money giver, endless harambe attendees, and yet they were quiet when Gen Z families lost their, oh my God, that is so true. When Gen Z families lost their loved ones during demonstrations, none of these churches said a word. God, that is so true. That is so true. That's so true, Nyoka. I agree with you, Penina. Yeah, I agree. And it was really shocking and surprising, and kind of made me reaffirm the reason why going to church for me stopped. It stopped. I stopped actually attending church. Now, the church that I attend is the one in my house. I pray by myself and I do good deeds. Yeah. I do good deeds. They say good deeds will not take you to heaven, but your faith will take you to heaven. But let me tell you what, good deeds matter. Good deeds matter. You do good deeds to your environment, good deeds to people who are in need. Good deeds, they do matter. They do count. But these people who are just going for envelopes, yeah, that doesn't work. It doesn't work. Yeah. So we have two people watching. I think maybe people are tapering off now to have their dinner and maybe come back a bit later. But I really appreciate this time with you. Thank you so much, Nyakavi, for being a really active member of my platform. Anything else you want to say, just say it, and I'm just going to mention it. Anybody else have anything to say about what Nyokabi is saying there? Overall impeachment, she's saying again, overall impeachment rules in Kenya should be redefined. They are being misused. Of course, yeah. They are being misused, aren't they? Overall impeachment rules in Kenya should be redefined. That is exactly it. And if you had joined me earlier, maybe when I get off, you can go back and listen. But there was this gentleman on Inoro FM. I know you understand the language, so you can go and maybe look up this guy. His name is, for those of you guys who maybe look him up, maybe he, of course, he would also speak English, so you can maybe try and talk to him. His name is Lawyer Stephen Disho. Okay, he was talking about the conservator, about the whole impeachment process and the issue about conservatory orders. Okay, so he really helped to talk about it in the local language, and I wish that every single station could talk about these things in local language so that every Kenyan understands the process. Because these lawyers, by the way, they're using very legalese, very strong language. How is everybody supposed to understand it? Yeah, how is a person at the very machinani supposed to understand the impeachment process? They will just be thinking, no, why is it that my Meru guy, Mr. Kithure Kindiki is a PhD, he's intelligent, he's a good man. For those who think that he's a good man, he's a good man, he's better, he's articulate, he's presentable. Why are you denying my Kithure Kindiki? Well, they don't realize that he's a state officer. According to the Constitution, as a state officer, yeah, you cannot take up that elected position of deputy president unless, first of all, you resign, from your position, number one. Number two, you take up a political party, you join a political party, and for 6 months prior, okay, so there has to be a 6 months wait, like I said earlier before, yeah? So there's a 6 months wait. There's a process. There's a procedure. There's a legal procedure that has to be followed. And this is the reason why it makes him an untenable person for the position. This is what disqualifies him from the position. Number one, the fact that he is a state officer. The other thing is the issue of the IEBC, which is not constituted now. Which is literally dead, okay? There are no returning officers for IEBC. The chairperson doesn't exist. So they can't act. They can't act on behalf of Kenyans in this case. And in that way, because this person has to be cleared by CRB, they have to be cleared by the EACC, CRB, very many institutions, CID, this person has to be cleared by all these people, because before he can be found to be fit to be the deputy president. So we can't just pick anybody just like that within hours and just put them in. Otherwise, it would be, going against the Constitution and going against the rules. Nyokabi, what are you saying again? Look at Governor Kaminwa numbers of impeachment all the time for no reason, just because she's a woman. leading a man failed mafia government of Meru Kirinyaga men. What? Nyokavi is on fire, Nyokavi, what did you say? Let me reread that for everybody. Look at Governor Kawera. Oh, Kawera, yes. The number of impeachment all the time for no reason, just because she's a woman, leading a man-filled mafia government of Meru Kirinyaga men. Women will have to pay the price, I tell you the truth. Women who are in power now will have to pay the price. And this is the reason why we need the next election to ensure that we have a woman on the podium. And I don't know why we can't all agree as Kenyans to just put Martha Karua there somehow. If not Martha Koome, Charity Ngilu. We need somebody who is tried and tested. Yeah, before we get a Karen Nyamo there, man, because that would be very embarrassing if we get somebody like Karen Nyamo. Really, honestly. Really, we need somebody who is tried and tested, and especially somebody like Martha Koome. Unfortunately, I watched Charity Ngilu speak in a very derogative manner to a very elderly man at the Ministry of Water. There's a time that I was sitting outside. I had gone in for a meeting and I was standing outside, and she was literally yelling at the guy. I don't know whether he's a driver or who she was, but I was like, Charity Ngilu. First of all, I looked at her. She was looking so gorgeous. She was very beautiful. She came out of a lift. I'll tell you guys a story. She came down from a lift in the Ministry of Water a while back, many years ago. When I was there, and she actually came out of the lift with this gentleman. Who was he? He was the governor of Kiambu at one time, and then he was removed. Yokavi, you can remind me his name. Waitito. He had actually come out of the lift with Waitito. And I saw this woman who was gorgeous. She's so tall and shapely, elegant. Charity Ngilu is really a beauty, beauty to behold. And I saw her and I wanted to go and greet her and say, "Oh, Charity." But guess what happened, guys? She started shouting at this elderly man who was just standing with us there, like ordering him around, telling him off in front of everybody. We were all like staring, dumbfounded. We couldn't believe it. I was actually embarrassed because as a woman, I love my femininity. I like being in my feminine space. So I would really, and apart from that, there's also the issue, the fact that the man is elderly man. Why embarrass him? Though I was very upset. I thought about all her balls and I was like, anyway, But she has done a good job. She has done a very good job. But Governor Kawera, yes, number of impeachment motions against her because of leading a government full of men. And that is a problem because we're supposed to have the 2/3 gender rule, no, 1/3 gender rule effected in parliament, and it's not. And it makes it very difficult for women to work in a male-dominated environment. If you look at countries such as Uganda, there are so many women. I think they're over 50%. The same thing with Rwanda. Rwanda and Uganda are two very good examples of parliaments that are full of women. And look, especially Rwanda, look and see how far Rwanda has gone because of the number of women in parliament, the number of women in government, high-level government positions. So if you have numbers, the strength in numbers, if you have a lot of women in the government, there's no way there will be so many unemployed young people. There's been no way that you're not actually doing something about the employment. Like you see Rwanda, what they're doing. Right now, they are assembling cars. They're assembling mobile phones. Yeah, mobile phones are actually being manufactured there in Rwanda. Uganda. Have you ever heard Uganda asking for food from anywhere? How many times have I been to Uganda, gone to Uganda there and seen so much food everywhere? So many people in Uganda, strong, fit, very strong, tall. Yeah. Then I come back to Kenya and I land and I see our poor guys who are eating Indomie with a boiled egg. Gosh, the guys of Uganda are eating cassava. Eh? They're eating cassava and bananas and fish and peanut sauce. That's what they eat. In Kenya, what are we eating? So this is the reason. The reason is because there are so many, and also, Mrs. Museveni, Janet, she's also a member of staff, and she also has a political office or government office. These women will make sure that there's food. I've been all the way even to the universities in Uganda. And Uganda is gone a very, very long way in terms of education. They might actually become the education hub for Eastern Africa because the number of universities in Uganda, the number of high schools, the number of high quality universities and high schools. And when you look at the way they build their dorms, they think about women, they think about men, they think about the young people, they think about the food. I've actually gone to all those universities. I used to evaluate those universities. And I've attended them. I've attended sessions there, watching, shocked, totally shocked. And when I compare with our universities here, which don't even care whether the students are eating or not. If you attend some of these universities like the ones in Uganda, you'll be comfortable. There'll be food at least. Yeah. And on top of that, you see, if you can learn on a full belly, you can learn very well because those students and the teachers and the lecturers, the lecture halls, quality. Even Tanzania, by the way, Tanzania as well. So Kenya is the one that is suffering the most and has the strongest economy financially, but has the worst indicators when it comes to health and nutrition. You know, guys? Hi, Nikki Kamau. Thank you very much. You're saying, Ati, I'm just wild. Me, I'm not here to receive compliments. I want you to tell me, give me something wow to on your side. Yeah, Nikki, give me something wow to. Yeah. Yeah. So you guys, you know, if you're looking for things like higher education, you don't have to actually look within only Kenya. Look at Uganda, look at Tanzania. Those are fabulous countries for higher education. And if you want, I can even, actually, I'm going to do a session on that. And I'm going to invite some of the universities, the heads of universities or whatever, to come and talk to you people. Because the days are over when one had to go abroad to the West to school. We were educated in the West. We're here to train you, young people. Yeah, we're here. So not just me, there are so many brilliant scientists, brilliant, absolutely fabulous teachers, professors. Go to Ethiopia. Go to the best ones though, Uganda, Tanzania. Uganda, Tanzania, especially Uganda. Uganda is just like tops. Nigeria. Hey? Nigeria. Hey? Nigerian universities are no joke. And if you see the quality of the people that they actually bring out, top. Nigerians are the most, America has the most number of educated blacks, and most of them are Nigerians. The US, sorry. Let's say Uganda, sorry. USA, the highest educated people are blacks, and most of them are Nigerians. Yes, Nigerians. Another country, Zimbabwe. Africa is full of amazing institutions of higher education where you can actually, you know, go to school and learn apart from Kenya, and affordable as well. Kenya, let me not forget my dear country of Kenya. Kenya also has very good institutions. Yeah, we have the Strathmore universities. We also have Nairobi University. We have good universities. The thing that we don't have is good administration because of frustration by the government. Yeah, a lot of these people are frustrated. They're not given enough money. Yeah, and that's one of the biggest problems of our education system here in Kenya. Yeah, again, there's a lot of corruption, too much of it. Yeah, we're too corrupt in the country. If you look at Eastern Africa, the least corrupt countries in Eastern Africa are who? Starting with number one, which is Rwanda. Rwanda is number one. Least corrupt. Number two would probably be Tanzania. The third one, maybe Ethiopia. Like that. Kenya is lagging hapa chini kabisa. We're down here. Corrupt, number one. We're too corrupt. We buy degrees, we buy grades, you buy everything. You don't want that kind of education, really, you know? But if I was a young person today, Gen Z, if I was a young person today, I would definitely be looking at going to school in Uganda, in Uganda, Tanzania, South Africa, Botswana, Nigeria, definitely. No, Tanzanians are not more corrupt than you. Kavi, I've done my evaluations. Where stop playing. Tanzanians are not more corrupt. You're wrong. Go and check the Ibrahim Index on corruption. Tanzania does not feature anywhere near Kenya with corruption. Not even. I think Tanzania gets a bad rap because Tanzania hasn't decided whether they are part of SADC or whether they're part of the East African community. They haven't decided whether they are part of the Southern African Development Corporation, whatever, SADC, whether they're part of the South African Economic Bloc or whether they're part of the East Africa Economic Bloc. They kind of like sit there in the middle. But, and again, also because Kenya and Tanzania have a love-hate relationship, we absolutely depend on Tanzania for food right now, guys. We do. You know, Kenya, if you look in the markets, you'll see a lot of food from Tanzania. So we should, in fact, what we should be doing is not actually competing with one another, but cooperating and working. You see, because Tanzanians also, they access our medical care in Kenya. Kenya's medical care is like at the top. It's like top. It's like, I don't know why people talk about South Africa only. Kenya's medical care. When I was in the UK, a lot of people in the UK, because of the failing NHS, National Health Service, a lot of people, especially Asian, British, are coming for procedures here in Kenya. I met several people, Indians. They send their mothers here to Aga Khan from England. Yes, to get treatment from our doctors. And this is why it hurts when I hear that the doctors are not paid, that they're being demoralized. They're demoralizing our nurses and people like that. No, we have absolutely the best, if not one of the best, medical care in the world, not just East Africa, the world. Yes. There are people coming from Australia for tummy tuck here in Kenya. Yeah. For Botox surgery, beauty surgeries here in Kenya. Yeah. Let's not underestimate our people. The good doctors are fabulous. The good ones with good institutions, if you have good medical care, medical insurance, you can get the top. But of course, there are others who don't give a hoot. And many of them are also, there are fake doctors. But if we could just improve our surveillance in the field, we would be very, very, very far. Very far. I trust medical care in Kenya a lot. I really like it. I like medical care in Kenya. I think it's fabulous. First of all, you can be seen by a doctor quickly. Not like the NHS where you have to go line up or be seen online. I went back to Kenya. Yeah, I'm actually here for a little while. Yeah, Nyokabi. Nyokabi is asking me. Nyokabi knows me from very many years ago. I live in both countries. I live in Kenya and I live in the UK. Okay. The reason I came to Kenya, Nyokabi, I lost my father. Yeah, so he was sick. I lost my dad. So I'm looking after mom for a while. And this is another thing. Now we're going to be talking about other things. And Nyokabi knows me. I can talk forever. Yeah. We as Africans need to decide who we prioritize. Do we prioritize ourselves and our families, or do we prioritize other people? Yeah. Because for me, as a daughter, there's no way. Yeah, I look like a grandmother right now, but I'm somebody's daughter too. Yeah. But we have parents who need us. We have to make sure we look after them too. As you're looking after people outside there, look after your own. Huh? Yeah, I went back to Kenya, and I absolutely am loving Kenya. I love being in Kenya a lot. I do. I love being in Kenya, but I don't like the corruption, and I don't like the insecurity. It's very frightening sometimes, especially as a woman. You feel scared. Yeah, you feel scared. The difference between living in those countries and here is that out there, I can walk any time of the day or night in town. I won't feel anything. Like where I live in Cardiff, Wales, it's very safe. I don't feel nothing over there. Yeah, I can walk. Yeah, I know London has some pockets of insecurity. That is true. But overall, in general, you're safe. You feel that safety. That safety, you can get on a train, you can get on a bus, you can travel, you can go out for a movie. Sorry, you can go to the movies, come back. The police are everywhere. They're not enemies, they're your friends. Those are the things that you miss when you're outside there, when you come back home. But there are some things you don't miss also. You don't miss the discrimination, you don't miss the weather, you don't miss the, confusion with the genders. You don't miss small-mindedness. You don't miss a society that doesn't encourage entrepreneurship. In this country, it's alive. Those countries are full of elderly people. So I would be considered one of the young ones. Where over here, I'm considered a dinosaur, right, in Kenya. So, but when you're over there, you feel young and you feel good. Because when you're in your 50s, your 40s, you're very young in those countries. But when you're here in Africa, you feel like you're just about to say your last, goodbyes. Yeah. So there's many nice things about living there, but there's also very many nice things about living in Kenya, not to mention the good food, quality food here. Hey, my God. We don't know what we have. So, wait, Nyokabi, we'll talk about these personal issues later. Today we're talking about impeachment of the DP. Wait. Can you stick to the subject? We're talking about the DP impeachment, and we're talking about what's likely to happen. Can you tell me what's likely to happen? That one I'd like to hear. And what else is going on? Tanzanians are more corrupt than us. No, they're not. And if they are, you need to substantiate that claim. But I'll tell you a secret about Tanzania and why I think that Kenya still has an edge over Tanzania, especially when it comes to tourism market. You know why we have an edge? We have that ocean called the Indian Ocean. And we have the Rift Valley. And we have a lot of natural things that Tanzania has, but they take long distances to go to, and their infrastructure is not as developed as ours, guys. Okay, you're listening, Jeffrey. Welcome, Karibu. So their infrastructure is not as well developed and as we are, and also their service sector is not as well developed. Even if I was there, maybe I'd say maybe 10 years ago, they are improving fast, though. You know, they're still catching up with us very fast. Of course, you can see the airport's fantastic compared to ours, right? But when it comes to service in hotels, when it comes to the variety of things that you can do when you go to the hotels, when you look at the infrastructure that has been laid by our people in Kenya, we are far ahead. Now, if you go to the beaches in Tanzania, you want to go to a nice beach in Tanzania, you'll have to get into a boat and cross over and go to Zanzibar. And that means it's about an hour. Is it about an hour? Tell me, Tumaini. Is it about 45 minutes to an hour to Zanzibar from the mainland of Tanzania? In Kenya, you just get on a drive and you just hit the ocean. Keep driving. You'll eventually end up at the ocean. And you can't move that ocean. And the other thing about our oceans is that we don't have rocks on our oceans. Yeah, in Tanzania, there's a lot of coral, very sharp coral at the beaches. And you know, our beaches are sandy, and you see a lot of Tanzanians come here and Ugandans in December. Yeah, during holidays they come to Kenya. So Kenyans should take advantage, instead of going to the coast, get up and go to Uganda. Get up and go to Tanzania in December, because you'll find everything is cheaper there. Their hotels are cheaper. Everything is cheaper because everybody's away. They have come to Kenya. So that's a good opportunity now to go and learn about different countries. 90 minutes to Zanzibar from Dar es Salaam. What? 1.5 hours by that boat. Yes, to Maini. Yeah. Although Zanzibar is really beautiful, although it seems to have been taken over by a lot of Muzungus there. Am I correct, to Maini? There are a lot of Muzungus in Zanzibar. Zanzibar is fun. It's a nice place, but it's far. You can either go by boat or you can fly by helicopter, isn't it? I've used a plane, gone by helicopter to Zanzibar. So one of these fine days, you guys, you know, this is African Queen Mo. I'm going to share with you my travel experiences. And I know Yokabi also travels a lot. Yokabi, I'd like you one day we do a thing on travel, yeah? Tell you countries that you should go to visit, apart from what you keep hearing, Dubai. Okay, sorry, Nyokabi. Dubai is great, yes, but it's not the only place. There are many other countries that I can tell you about that you can visit and you would love, and I'll tell you why you should go there. I'll bring you pictures. I don't know who is IT who can give me some support for free to put pictures, because I'll just send pictures and you put them on as I'm talking. I'd like to show you countries that you can go to, places that you can go to, even in this country. And this is why we have to protect our country. We can't afford to go to war. We can't afford to fight, because it's not going to help us. It's not going to be enriching us. The people who we think we're fighting, they already have so much money stashed abroad that even if they were to have to leave the country, they would be living luxurious lives abroad. But the majority of Kenyans would suffer. So what I want to say is, you know, whatever is happening with the DP impeachment, let's not internalize it to the point where we get personal. Okay, the DP is not your husband, is not your wife, is not your father, he's not your mother. No, that is just a position, and they're there for just a period of time. What we should get serious with and personal with is the judiciary, the judicial system, especially the judicial system. That one we have to keep a close eye on and ensure that the processes are respected. Regardless of whether there's a murderer being tried or whoever is being tried, the processes must be respected. And we need to understand what are the potential loopholes that they can use to go and circumvent the law. Who is being pressured within the judiciary, yeah, not to offer justice, not to deliver justice the way they're supposed to. We're supposed to defend the judiciary with our lives. Guys, we have to defend the judiciary. We're not defending any presidents and deputy presidents. No, we're defending our, not even the judiciary, the judicial system. We must defend our constitution. We're here to defend our constitution. And yeah, I have to go back to work. News is almost starting at 9 o'clock, guys. I'm off. Bye. Unless you have any other thing to say. Tumaini, thank you very much. Are you from Tanzania? I see you're listening. If you want, next time you can join me and hop on board. Yeah. Hop on board and let's deliberate. Let's talk. Let's chat. Come into my lovely sitting room. If you want to play the piano, it's right behind me there. Yeah, I think I have had a good time analyzing. I think maybe let's recap. Let's do a little bit of a recap. Okay. The Chief Justice in Kenya, her name is Martha Koome. The Deputy Chief Justice is who? Lady Justice Philomena Mwilu. The current Deputy Chief Justice, no, the current Attorney General of Kenya is who? Dorcas Agik Odor. We have 3 very senior women in the judiciary. Wow. But the Attorney General is the head of the Kenyan State Law Office. Yeah. And the Attorney General is working together with the lawyers of the government, okay, to try to impeach, ensure the impeachment of Gachagua, basically, yeah? Which is the best democratic country in the world? India. I hope you guys know that. Yeah, so what is the president saying? The president, Ruto, he's saying that the High Court has no jurisdiction to listen to the deputy president's case because he is part of the presidency. Okay. However, the law does not combine both the president and the deputy president. The president would prefer this matter go straight to the Supreme Court because there will be no appeal. Yeah, because if this case was tried for just the president, it would go directly to the Supreme Court and there will be no appeal. Yeah. But the thing is, the president can see that if it is a matter that remains within the High Court, it can take a long time, up to 6 months or more. Yet, he can go to, you see, because Gachagua can move from the High Court and go to the Court of Appeal and then to the Supreme Court. And the president sees this, the President Ruto sees this as a risk to his decision to nominate and appoint the new deputy president, right? So the government lawyers want to force the matter of the Supreme Court. They want us to overlook the High Court, which is, however, accessible for the deputy president. The deputy president can go through the High Court. So just, guys, remember those things, yeah? Remember that. Remember that. The other thing that is important to remember is that a state officer like Kithure Kindiki, as great as he is or as bad as he is, he would have to leave a state job to take on a political position legally and constitutionally. He is a state officer. He has to resign 6 months prior. Not be fired. He has to resign 6 months fire, and on top 6 months fire, 6 months prior. Oh, sorry. And according to the Political Parties Act, he should have joined a political party, which he has already resigned from in order to be a state officer, by the way. Yeah? So he has to join a political party and be a member for 6 months. Yeah. And the lawyers of Gachagua are not bringing up these issues right now. Why? Because these are substantive issues. So when you hear them tomorrow, 24th, maybe don't be surprised, right? Do not be surprised that these issues are going to come up. That Kithure Kindiki is not qualified. Why? Because he is a state officer. And state officers cannot be, according to the Constitution, they cannot immediately join and become a deputy president. So, so these are what they call weighty constitutional matters, and this is the reason why we are in a constitutional. We could be looking at a constitutional crisis. Yeah, the law, however, talks about election. It doesn't talk about appointment. So this is the only caveat that they might have. They might say, well, the law is discussing the deputy president's position as an elected person, not as appointed. But you see now, the government is appointing Kindiki. So let's see whether the rules still apply. Yeah, whether the law still applies as is. Yeah, because as it is, if you're appointed as a minister, you would need to resign from any political party, right? So the only option is for Ruto to choose someone from within his party who has been a member for 6 months. So who would you recommend from the party, from his party to go instead of Kindiki? Secondly, apart from that, there's the issue of, apart from that protocol, there's the issue of the IEBC. The IEBC, though, unfortunately, is not functional. It plays a big role in the appointment of a candidate for the deputy president. The name, like for example, if Kindiki is appointed by the president, the president would have to forward that one to IEBC. The IEBC would have to forward it to the Speaker of the Parliament through a returning officer. Yeah, those returning officers are not there. Do you remember many of them had to leave? Yeah, after the last election, they had to quit. Many of them even ran away from the country. Yeah, so then they are cleared. They need to be cleared by several offices: DCI, Good Conduct, EACC, CRB, show that they don't have outstanding loans. Yeah, so there's a process to go through. Then, yeah, so that is the main. Those are the two main issues. That it's unconstitutional. The process is unconstitutional. Yeah, and not to mention the right to be heard. You remember the right to be heard? Yeah, I didn't mention it before. Yeah, that Gachagua can still fight. And because that is like one of the most basic rights. I remember one of the lawyers saying that even if it was a murderer, even if it was a murder case and it was a murderer, and he came to the court and he said, I have a headache, he would be allowed to go see a doctor and they would postpone the case to another date. So how much more somebody who is the deputy president, whether you like him, whether you don't like him, is besides the point. The issue is he should be treated, the law should be applied equally to all. That's the main issue. Finally, I want to talk about now the separation of powers. Yeah, just to remind you that there's separation of powers: parliament, executive, and the judiciary. Since independence was 1964. That's when we celebrated it. That's exactly 60 years. Yeah. Since independence, this constitution has come to like turn things over, because the previous constitution, the president would just wake up and announce in the media, "Oh, I've fired you and I've fired you. You're no longer here. Get out of here." Now it's different. You have to go through it. We have a constitution now. Yeah. So Gashagua's defense lawyers are arguing, the deputy president's defense lawyers are arguing against the unconstitutional or illegal interference of the executive in the constitution. Okay. So how is the executive interfering? By giving his views that he believes that the High Court should not have any powers, to determine this case of Gachagua, that it should go directly to the Supreme Court. That's one. So expressing disagreement with the High Court, with the process. Yeah. So the courts, again, the other thing that is unconstitutional is that the courts met on a Saturday to discuss matters that go beyond the 6 issues that they were given by the deputy CJ, Philomena, her ladyship's Philomena Mwilu. So Philomena Mwilu gave 6 items for the court, the 3-person bench, to discuss. But they went and discussed another item from Kerugoya. And that item has something to do with Kithure Kindiki. And they were not supposed to discuss it. And even beyond that, the fact is, there's a process by which Philomena should have followed, which is because Philomena answers to the CJ herself. The CJ herself is Martha Koome. She's out of the country. She has to give written permission for her deputy to give instructions about constitution of that bench. So the question that they're asking now is that bench constitutional? Yeah, so there are many, many, many questions to be answered there. Many questions, yeah? Legal issues. Yeah, legal issues. So guys, I hope that you've had a good time with me. I've really enjoyed chatting with you. I've enjoyed interacting with you. Next time, I hope you'll join me online. Thank you so much, Penina, and Kennedy, and who else? Everybody on here. Thank you so much. Thank you, Nikki. Nikki Kamau. When am I coming? To where, Nikki? When are you coming? Where to? I'm here in Kenya already. Oh, come to Dubai. You're telling me to come to Dubai. I went to Dubai, by the way. Hey, It was expensive. I went at a time when it was very, very expensive. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. None of the clothes could fit me in Dubai. I don't know who they make them for though. I like South Africa. They fit my shape better. But Dubai was nice. It was real fun. It was nice. I'll come. Nitakuja Dubai. Mutaniita siku gani? Na muko wengi huko. Tumaini, what did you want to say? 6 months prior. Yes, that's correct. Yes, though I live in Washington, D.C. Oh, you live in D.C. Okay, okay. How is Washington, D.C.? I like Washington, D.C. actually because you don't have to have a car, right? That's what I know about Washington, D.C. Yeah. Nice place, nice place. But sahi ni baridi, sindio? Kuna baridi huko. Yeah. So lovely to talk to the Tanzanians on here and the Kenyans who are living abroad and those ones who are living here. I'll be back on here on Friday. I said I'll be doing this Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Today is Wednesday. I'll be back on Friday with another dozier. So if you have any questions in the meantime, you can put your questions here in the chat section. If you want me to discuss anything, come ready also to join me. Yeah, join me in here because there's a way that if you come in, you'll join me and we'll just split the screen and we'll see each other. We'll chat and we'll have a nice chat. Yeah, we'll have a nice, good discussion. So I'd said Monday, Wednesday, Friday. If not Friday, then definitely Saturday. So if I'm not on Friday, just understand maybe there's a reason, probably be Saturday. Yeah, guys. So let's pray for our countries. Let's pray for Kenya. Let's pray for East Africa. And let's join hands and grow as an African continent in love and in respect for our continent and for our laws and for the things that guide us. Thank you so much. God bless you all. Thank you for joining me. And kwaherini. Bye-bye. Thank you very much. I'm ending the stream now, guys. Bye-bye. Ending the stream. End stream. Yeah.